You also said in that article, quote, your words, not mine, sex has countless natural permutations, end quote. Did I read that correctly? Your words, not mine. America's judiciary doesn't look like America. And you criticized this committee and President Trump for his judicial nominees. You said, quote, these are your words, not mine. The judiciary crafted over the past 4 years does not look like America. Not one of these judges is black, and more than 90% were raised or currently identify as Christian.
I asked her one simple question: you're not being honest with us, are you? Then I pulled out her own words, articles she wrote as a sitting judge, arguing gender laws are at odds with science, that the judiciary doesn't look like America, that judges should be free to join protests, and every single time I asked if I'd read her own writing correctly, she told me she didn't know. By the end, I was asking her if she believes in Bigfoot and the Tooth Fairy. Stick around, because you need to see exactly how this played out.
Thank you, Senator Butler. Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Wise, you're not being honest with us, are you?
That is incorrect.
Well, we all may be poorer under President Biden, but we're not stupid. We have a long list of your articles and your opinions and your political statements. On March 8, 2017, you wrote an article for Time magazine while you were a sitting judge. It's entitled, Judge, Gender Laws Are at Odds with Science. I'm going to quote your words. When legislators blur the lines of church and state and enact laws that permit or prohibit conduct based on biological gender as only male or female, they place an impossible burden on the judiciary. End quote. Did I read that accurately?
I do not know because I don't have the article in front of me.
Well, I do. You also said in that article, quote, your words, not mine, sex has countless natural permutations, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe that is consistent with medical science and under the Daubert standard, the science that comes in as expert testimony in trials.
On October 13, 2020, while you were serving as a state judge, you wrote an article for The Atlantic entitled, quote, your words, not mine, America's judiciary doesn't look like America. And you criticized this committee and President Trump for his judicial nominees. You said, quote, these are your words, not mine. The judiciary crafted over the past 4 years does not look like America. Not one of these judges is black, and more than 90% were raised or currently identify as Christians. I don't know how you knew that. And then you say, quote, your words, not mine. Identity is the lens that filters everything and everyone we encounter, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
Again, I don't know because I don't have the article in front of me.
I do. I got it right here. You wrote another article on July 31, 2020 for the San Francisco Daily Journal, in which you advocate for the right of sitting judges to be able to go to protests, didn't you?
That is incorrect.
No, it's not. I'm looking at it right here. This is what you say. No judge should be ethical. Your words, not mine. You just said you didn't say them. You turned these articles over. No judge should be ethically constrained from speaking or taking action that reinforces that constitutional and moral imperative. May judges participate in demonstrations that denounce racism, support equal justice, and reinforce our constitutional rights to free speech and peaceable assembly? Yes. End quote. Did I read that correctly?
I don't know because I don't have the article in front of me.
If you're a federal judge, are you going to go to protests?
I would like to answer the substance of the underlying question that was asked.
I'd like you to answer my question. I've only got another minute or so. If you're a federal, let me put it another way. Have you ever gone to a protest, a public protest, while you're a sitting judge?
Senator Kennedy, the article that you are referring to
Have you ever
was
gone
written...
to a protest while you're a sitting judge?
I do not believe that I have ever attended a protest as a sitting judge, or perhaps ever in my life.
And you talk about Girls Inc. You say you've never heard of them. You were on the, or you don't know that much about them. You were on the board from 2014 to 2024. You're still on their board, aren't you?
I'm not. My term expired this last month.
And you've given them over $50,000, haven't you?
I do not believe that is correct.
That's what your report says. And this is the same Girls Inc. that says, quote, on its website, here's how they define girls. Quote, girls refers to gender-expansive youth, cis girls, trans girls, non-binary youth, gender and non-conforming youth, genderqueer youth, and any girl-identified youth. Did I read that correctly?
I don't know. I've never heard of that policy or that definition
Right.
from
Never heard
Girls
of it.
Inc.
Listen, in spite of your, can I just have 30 more seconds? In spite of your strongly held political beliefs, and we've got all of them, all your articles, they're as long as King Kong's are you telling us today, do you believe that you will not allow your strongly held political beliefs to influence your judicial opinions? Do you believe that?
The best evidence of the type of federal judge I will be
Yes,
the
ma'am.
type of
Do you
judge
believe that? Do you believe that?
is the type of judge I have been for 10 years, who is one who always puts the law above my personal
Do you
views.
also believe in Bigfoot? Do you believe in the tooth fairy?
Your time has expired, Senator.
Do you believe Jimmy Hoffa died of natural causes?
Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr.
Exactly the kind of exchange the American people deserve to see before a lifetime judicial appointment gets confirmed. I didn't put words in her mouth. Every quote I read was hers, published, on the record, in her own name. And time after time, when I asked if I'd read her own writing accurately, I got the same non-answer. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. I did have it in front of me, every single time. That's not a gotcha. That's accountability. A judge's writings tell you exactly how she thinks about the law, and this nominee spent years publicly arguing that gender laws burden the judiciary, that the bench doesn't look like America, and that judges should be free to march in political protests. Those are her positions, in her own words, and the American people have every right to know whether someone with those views is prepared to put the law above her personal politics on the bench. Think about what actually happened in that hearing. I quoted a Time magazine article she wrote in 2017, while she was a sitting judge, and she told me she couldn't confirm her own words because she didn't have the article in front of her. I quoted an Atlantic piece from 2020, where she said the federal judiciary doesn't look like America, and again, she couldn't confirm it. I quoted a San Francisco Daily Journal article defending judges' right to attend political protests, and she actually told me that article said the opposite of what it said, right before I read her exact words back to her. That's not a memory problem. That's a nominee unwilling to own her own public record in front of the committee responsible for confirming her. And then there's Girls, Inc. 10 years on that board, more than $50,000 given to the organization, and she couldn't tell me she remembered any of it clearly, including their own published definition of who qualifies as a girl. I asked her directly whether her strongly held political beliefs would influence her rulings, and she pointed to her 10 years as a judge as her answer. I'll let people decide for themselves whether that answer, next to everything she's written, actually adds up. But I wasn't going to let her walk out of that hearing without her own record being read into it, word for word, for everyone watching to hear. This is exactly why these hearings matter. A lifetime appointment to the federal bench is one of the most consequential decisions the Senate makes, and the public deserves nominees who will stand behind their own published views instead of pretending they don't recognize them. I'm never going to stop asking these questions, because the people I represent expect a judiciary that puts the law above personal politics, not the other way around. If you think judicial nominees should be held to their own public record like this, hit that like button right now, subscribe so you don't miss the next hearing breakdown, drop a comment with your take on this exchange, and share this with someone who needs to see it. I'll see you in the next one.